Hey guys, Clendros here. Um, so I wanted to do a quick little video today, just to kind of tell you what is going to be going on for the next probably week and change. Um, it depends, a lot on several different factors, but um, the main thing is the upcoming release of Final Fantasy VII Remake. So I'm going to get into that, in a few minutes here. But I've got some days off, some vacation days next week, and coupled with my regular days off, I'm going to probably be streaming for, probably at least 5 or 6 out of the 7 days next week, and maybe some into next week, and then streaming some, pretty much tomorrow on. And the streaming for tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, will be are based around my work schedule, but I'm off on Sunday and Monday, so I'll be streaming a lot on Sunday and Monday. And then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and Sunday for next week as well. So those are all days that I'm off, so I'll be streaming a lot then. So what's unique about this is I don't know that I've ever done a release sort of party stream before. Maybe long time ago, perhaps, but not in recent memory. But this is a very it's a very special game to me. And the music on a little bit in the background here. It's a very special game to me, and it's a very special game to a lot of people. I would imagine that for a large portion of the younger audience, which probably is a lot of people who may watch my stream are probably younger than me by quite a bit, might not necessarily understand the significance or attachment that people have to Final Fantasy VII. When you go on YouTube and you see these reaction videos with people just like getting just really emotionally gut punched by this stuff, it's probably a little bit strange and hard to understand. But for me, well, for one thing, Final Fantasy VII was the first Final Fantasy game for the modern next-gen consoles, right? So when PlayStation was released, Final Fantasy VII was the first Final Fantasy game to be made for this modern era, the first 3D Final Fantasy game as well. And the movement away from the traditional top-down JRPG style, game that most people associate with Japanese RPGs. And I would say that seven it means a lot to me. It probably means more to some than it does to me, because I always felt to me that 6 was my favorite of the series, which for people who are not sort of well versed in the Japanese gaming culture, you would know it as Final Fantasy III. It was released in the U.S. as Final Fantasy III. So basically, what happened from what I understand, Final Fantasy I was Final Fantasy I everywhere, States, Japan, There was a Final Fantasy 2 and a 3 that were released Japan only. They were very classic style, no real storyline to speak of, sort of RPGs. And then everything really changed with Final Fantasy 4, which was released here in the States as Final Fantasy 2. Final Fantasy 4 was the first one that had a really, really strong narrative arc. Grabbed a lot of people, and actually I believe is a favorite of a lot of people still. It was also famous for being incredibly difficult, to the point where they had like I think it was the Japanese version was like much harder than the American version was, or maybe it's the other way around. But I remember really liking Final Fantasy IV, and that was the game to me that drew me into the franchise. So Final Fantasy II here, Final Fantasy IV. There was a Final Fantasy V that was released in Japan, was never released in the States, which to this day I think is astonishing to everybody. You can get it on the Final Fantasy Chronicles disc that was released in the U.S. In like the mid 2000s. It had 4, 5, and 6 on it, they were not remastered. They not like the Steam remasters. They were. What's a good way to put this? They had like they made CGI stuff for them. Brand new CGI scenes that were created just for these Chronicle releases of the games. 6 had quite a lot of them. 4 and 5 had less. They put more effort into 6, and then when 6 came out, I think was when Final Fantasy really exploded for most people. Most RPG gamers. 6 is the classic Final Fantasy style RPG. And in my opinion has the best soundtrack for any video game ever. So that was a big, like, a pretty big thing, really, I really felt that what they did with that was amazing. The story was I think better than 7 was, but maybe didn't have some of the crazier, more shocking things that 7 had. And then when 7 came out, 7 broke every barrier, broke every sales record, but it was groundbreaking because it was, I believe, if I remember, it was the first like 3D JRPG, maybe even the first 3D RPG that I can think of. Like in that style and like the traditional, turn-based style, and featured the famous active time battle system. So that was what was unique about it. I really personally felt that 7, there were elements of 6 that I liked more than 7, and 6 had some incredible characters that, and 7 does too. And that's kind of the thing when you look at 7. But the reason why 7 is so powerful to everybody, including myself, is that 7, the time that 7 was released for most gamers at the time was, sort of at the height of when everyone was getting into gaming, right? And so now we have this game being released for a whole new generation of younger gamers who are going to get to experience that magic for the first time, really, because some of them may have gone back and played Final Fantasy VII. If you look, there's lots of different YouTube reaction channels, obviously, that have reacted to the different trailers and stuff like that, and some of those people have gone back and played the original game, and some were very deeply moved by the original game. But I think for the large amount of fans, the original, the the remake is going to serve as their introduction to the series, and perhaps even their introduction into Final Fantasy, because 15 did pretty well, but it did not. I don't think it achieved what Square hoped it would achieve, in being the new standard bearer for RPGs for a new generation. I don't. It didn't really meet that achievement, despite being what I felt was actually a very good game. It had certainly some problems, but it was a pretty darn good game, I felt. And so here, that leads us to tomorrow. So here's what's going to happen. Tomorrow at midnight, which is Friday, the game unlocks for everyone. Now, I've downloaded the game already. I will be going live precisely at midnight, and will be starting my playthrough. I will have limited time, probably only about 4 hours to play that first night. I do have to work the next day, unfortunately, and the day after that. So those first 2 days will be a smaller chunk of time. Starting Saturday night, I'm going to be devoting a lot of time, long streams to the game until I beat it. I will beat the game before I go back to work for my vacation. I may even beat it before my vacation begins. But I've been trying to stay away from spoilers, but my understanding is that there's a hard mode. So my plan currently is to play on classic mode, because that's the most like what I'm used to from the original. And then after I beat it, I actually will probably play it on the hardest difficulty. Not normal, but on whatever I think it's hard that unlocks after you beat the game. So that's my plan. I have managed to stay unspoiled. I don't know anything about the story of the game. I have some ideas based on the trailers, but I do know that the game definitely is going to take different directions. They were very upfront with that. They said from the beginning that it was a remake. It was not a an HD re-release, to put it that way, right? It was not, the same game, the same way, with upgraded textures. I don't even think that would have been possible. I mean, it would have been possible, but to release that in one game, it would have been. As this game makes clear, as Remake makes clear, it would have been like 12 Blu-ray discs. The game that's releasing on Friday, tomorrow, at midnight, is 3 Blu-ray discs worth of content. Now, they polled several people. IGN polled several people that beat it, and the average time was between 35 to 45 hours, depending on how much side content type stuff you did, mini games and things like that. There's I don't know exactly what the mini games are, but I know there's mini games in there, and I know there's lots of side quest content. So there's a lot to get into, and then of course there's a harder difficulty as well. And it hasn't been said exactly, but there are things that you can only experience apparently through hard mode, and I don't know exactly what that means, but I'll be interested to find out. So, but that's kind of the plan. That's the layout for what we're going to be doing, and I'm excited to do this. I haven't really done it for any game before, like a launch stream. There's going to be a ungodly number of people playing this game now, so I have no illusions to the fact that I am not going to be able to pull in some sort of a major audience by any means. But for those of you who are followers of my channel, my friends, through various online communities. I'm going to be posting this on Twitter and stuff like that. And for those of you who maybe you're not necessarily gamers but watch my music reactions, I would encourage you to come along on the journey with me, because one of the things, probably the biggest thing that makes these games so incredible, is the music. I would definitely urge people to check it out and come join me and have some fun. It's going to look different. It's not going to be like this. The game is only available on PlayStation 4, so I'll be streaming from my living room. The camera quality is not going to be as good. I might try some different things with the mic. As of right now, I'm using the PlayStation Eye camera, which has 4 microphones built into it. It does a pretty good job. There is some bounce back echo because of voice recognition. It recognizes dialogue from the game as your speaking voice, so it creates some echo. But it's not... I listened back to the stream that I just did as a test, and it wasn't that bad. So there's no real reason to change it. But I may try to get higher audio fidelity by using my Yeti microphone I'm using right now. So I may tweak it a little bit. We'll see how it goes. I'll try some different things on the weekend, and we'll see what people end up liking. I'm going to probably experiment with the camera a little bit, using the visible chat mode versus wide format camera only with full screen, and then just monitoring the chat through my phone. I really wish I had a tablet where I could monitor chat a little bit better. Maybe I'll bring my laptop in and have it set up kind of right there, so I can monitor the chat comments a little bit more. So I'll be trying some different things to kind of get the best experience for me and for you guys. The one thing, the main reason I am reticent about doing the standard mode with the chat visible on the side is because that's what I see, and it cuts out a lot of visible area. So, and like I said, this game is super important to me. I want to be able to see as much of what the incredible amount of work that went into this game as possible. So I want to be able to see the full screen if possible. So, that's why I wanted to maybe try doing the wide angle camera, which enables me to do the game in full screen, instead of the boxed version with the chat on the side. But like I said, I'll probably go live on Friday, midnight, with just the camera, because I don't want to get all bogged down into that sort of stuff. I just want to get into getting into the game and getting started, and that sort of launch stream. So that's what's going to be happening for the next week or so. I'm going to post a schedule, a loose schedule. It's going to depend on, availability. And, so basically, I will probably play until I'm too tired to play anymore on the days that I'm off. And then, as far as the other days, I probably will be streaming from, on a release day, it'll be midnight until probably around 4 a.m. On the other days, it's going to be when I get home from work, probably until 4 a.m. So, but I mean, there will be some variance in there because, I've got to eat and stuff like that. And you can't, I got to take breaks and stuff like that. I can't just game. And I mean, I do 24-hour streams every year for Extra Life, and it's almost a shame that this game didn't happen to fall on that, because it would have been really an incredible experience to play this, but it would have also been annoying because you would have gotten probably 2/3 of the way through the game or halfway through the game and not, not beaten it. So that's kind of there's a positive and negative to that. But anyways, that's what we're doing. I hope some of you guys will join me on the journey, and we can, as they say in the game, experience this reunion together. So I'll hopefully see you guys there, and we can explore the world. All right, I will. I'll see you guys there tomorrow night, midnight Eastern time. See you guys.